One time in Guadalcanal, I saw an orchid up in this tree, and I wanted it very much. So one of the enlisted men said, "Oh, I'll get that for you, sir, if you do a portrait of my wife in the nude from this snapshot." And I said, "Well, great." And so I took the snapshot, and I copied it, but left all the clothes off. And it was a great hit. I loved doing it, and I liked the picture, and he was crazy about it. And this is what happened out there with all the men without women, I guess.
I was painting in the field in Anzio one day, and all of a sudden the Germans decided that the U.S. Army could do with one less artist, and they shelled the devil out of me, and I ran so fast that I left my helmet and my helmet liner and everything else I had, and got into a gully. And then when I came back, I just continued to paint. I can't say that I was so brave or fearless, but it didn't bother me. I painted up there because, by God, that was my job, and I did it. If they shot at me, well, if they missed me, I'd run, and they missed me. They missed me every time.
It's not possible to do paintings on the spot. They're not possible. The environment's all wrong. And all these great paintings, and this goes back to the Civil War times. I mean, those paintings weren't done on the spot.
But I'm here to tell you, there is no such thing as a painting or drawing that's done on the spot. In the South Pacific, in the Second Battle of Bougainville, I was so nervous. I was hunkering down to get away from whatever it was, and worried and nervous and jumpy, and the tank going this way and that way. And I can remember thinking to myself that I've heard about people doing things on the spot, and I tried to make this drawing, and I just couldn't do it. And I've got a drawing in my notebook that shows you that. Here's a scribble here, right here. There it is. That's as good as I could do it. That's in ink. It says, "Proof. You can't do it, quote, on the spot."
I heard a fine friend of mine who's a war artist talk fairly recently, and he was saying no one ever draws on the spot. I would take issue with him and say that one can draw on the spot, because I have drawn some of my best things on the spot while it happens.
These are quick notes on patrols. Those are the things I would make while I was with the unit, or as soon as I could after a landing. You can't, say, "Hold the war, I'm drawing you." But you take cover. When you get a chance, you think you can stick your head up enough to see what's going on, you make some quick sketches. You try to find a better place to be where you can do more of that.
Then here is another. This is called more proof. But you can't do it on the spot. That's as good as I could do. Can you make that out? I don't know what it is myself. The only guy I ever saw do anything on the spot was a guy, a Marine. He was on top of a telephone pole, and he was drawing this, sketching this picture. He's sitting right on top of this telephone pole in the middle of this pitched battle. And the only guy I ever saw do anything like that.
Art that glorifies kings and generals is as old as war itself. World War II artists were not bound by that tradition. troops had to live with more than the hell of combat. Boredom, loneliness, and despair weighed heavily on the men. For the combat artists, a lull in the fighting was the safest time to work.
I was about 11, and we went for lunch in the Boston Navy Yard on the Tennessee. And after lunch, Mother said, "William, dear, will you play the piano for the officers?" And I played a Chopin waltz. And that was the end of that, except that years later, and I was probably 29, I had orders to go to the landing at Saipan on the Tennessee. So they wheeled the piano out on deck, and I played and sang on the same ship that I'd been on and played the piano when I was 11 years old. And this is one of the songs I played. What was it? Now let's see. I Get No Kick from Champagne. No, it was not that. Money, who wants money? Money, 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 who wants money? It ain't hay, it ain't even peanuts. But believe it or not, there's a place where nobody wants it. In Chichicastenango, in Chichicastenango. When it doesn't have money, you may think it's funny, it's a feature down in Chichicastenango. The heart can feel no pango down in Chichicastenango. They depreciate the dollar till the eagle starts to holler and a screecher down in Chichicastenango. Rex, all the men are wrecks, 'cause they sprain their necks while enjoying semi-annual vacations. And so be glad you can go down to Chichicastenango. Take a choo-choo down to take a choo-choo down to take a choo-choo down to Chichicastenango. Oh, oh, Castenango, NWA.
As soon as a painting was finished, it was shipped home to a public eager for images of the war. The art was mass-produced and hung in almost every town in America, among displays for soda pop, prescriptions, and fedoras. After seeing the paintings at the National Gallery, an art critic wrote, "A story more real than words or news photographs can give."
Mrs. Franklin D. Roosevelt is a guest on an exhibition of paintings by soldier artists in New York. This Army art exhibit interprets battlefront experiences to those at home, as here, an open-air bath on the Anzio beachhead in Italy.
I was told that my painting of the soldier taking a bath was on the newsreel, and that Eleanor Roosevelt stood in front of it. What she said, I have no idea, but I know my parents and my family went to the movies all that week, because in those days the Movietone News would be on every show.
This immense piling up of war supplies in Britain would in itself be an unmistakable sign of invasion.
I was assigned to the final dress rehearsal for the invasion, down the rope ladders into the assault boats, and we hit the beach. It was a little similar to what turned out to be Omaha Beach. But the exercises, everything worked so beautifully, you know. Heavy equipment got ashore, you know. Nothing at all like what happened later. So my assignment was Omaha Beach, and my boat position would bring me into the beach 20 minutes after the first hit. That would be H hour plus 20 minutes. But Sir Kenneth Clark, who was in charge of all the British war artists, said to my commanding officer, "How can you send Bromberg in? I'm not letting any of my artists go in until D plus 30 days. And you're sending him in 20 minutes after the first hit." on the beach. And what good will that do you? You only have 3 artists, and you're going to have 2. And so they rescinded my boat position. If I had gone in with my boat position, I'd be dead. And I knew these people who were almost 100% casualty there on the beach. You get to the point where you say, why am I making pictures of what is real tragedy for a lot of people back home? And these wonderful boys were wasted. And I'm making pictures of them being wasted. It's hard to take.
My most searing memory of any war was during the Battle of the Bulge, when Germans posing as GIs infiltrated our lines. I heard that we were going to execute 3 of them, and sped up to the MP post and saw these 3 men brought by a squad to 3 posts. And they were lashed to the posts, and the firing squad came up. A defenseless human is an entirely different thing than a man in action. To see these 3 young men calculatively reduced to quivering corpses before my eyes really burned into my being. That's the only drawing I've ever had that was censored. All coverage of the execution was censored.